I know last year Appian invited me up here and I got on the stage and I'm like, I'm excited, right? For those of you that were here last year, this time coming here, really, I think it's time for us to have a serious conversation, an adult conversation about process. Because I really see, when I look out on Twitter, I look out on social, I really see so many different perspectives and so many different arguments about what process is. And within Forrester, we actually started this conversation internally at the beginning of 2011. And my research director, Connie Moore, some of you may know Connie Moore, very well known in BPM circles, she hosted a debate. Imagine that, analysts debating, right? She hosted a debate around what is the future of process? Is it more around package apps and how SAP, let's say, views process? Or is it more around, let's say, how Appian, BPM suites view process, right? This was an amazing debate. For some reason, my manager put me on the side of the package apps. I don't know why she did that. It might have been a signal, right? Like, hey, you might want to think about a different path. But what was interesting is as we had this debate, this view began to emerge. And the view was really that no one perspective will dominate the future of process. Let's get real, right? And what it really set me on this path to start thinking in terms of there is this thing called big process that really encompasses everything, right? And to get to this view, we have to upgrade our thinking of what we believe process is, right? So most of us, when we think about process, this is what we think about, right? Sequential steps. This is kind of 20th century, the way I was raised, right? When someone talks about process, actually this is an interesting picture, but I started to put the picture of Chipotle in there. I love Chipotle. I'm a Chipotle addict, actually. And if you think about it, right, that's a process. And I love Chipotle's process, right? Go step by step. I want this, I want this. They have the sequential lines going through, you know, and we get this sort of thinking from Henry Ford, right? The Model T assembly line. This is what we've been raised to think process is in the 20th century. But when we move into the 21st century, where we are now, you really need to start thinking about process, or the analogy I like to use is more like a metropolitan traffic system, right? This is what 21st century process looks like. How many of you live here in DC? Okay, that's maybe like 20%, 30% of the crowd. But if you live in DC, you know what a metropolitan transportation system is about, right? And that's really how we need to think about process. Think about if you live in DC, for those of you that don't live in DC, one of the things that's exciting about DC, this area, is we have this highway called 395, right? In the morning, it goes one way. In the evening, it comes into DC. In the evening, it goes out of DC. If you're not paying attention to the signs, guess what? You're gonna be stuck, right? And that's really what we see with process, is going multiple ways, multiple lanes, always under construction. And I love the DC area, but the thing I hate about DC is there's always construction going on the highways, right? I live up in Silver Spring, which is maybe like 20 minutes from here. And I remember, even though our office is in McLean, I rarely come into the office, I work from my home office, but I remember after not coming into the office for maybe 3 months, 2-3 months, not coming down to McLean, riding through on 495, most of you that live here will get this, riding through on 495, and I noticed all the trees were gone. It's like 2 years ago. And I was like, holy crap, what happened? Am I in the right place? Like I got lost, actually, because I couldn't figure out what exit I needed to get off of, right? This is the world of process. This is what we're dealing with, constantly adapting, constantly changing, constantly under construction, right? Lanes going both ways, buses, trains, cars. I mean, this is how we need to begin to view process. It's not so much, should I do dynamic case, or should I do BPM? Should I do package app? You're gonna have to do it all, right? This is the real world. This is the adult, 2012, 21st century view of process we need to upgrade to.